Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the Middaynews on Shui FM 92.7. My name is Beatrice Adu. The news is also live on Kesmi 107.1 FM and across the world at 3news.com. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Ghana Armed Forces under fire for what many describe as poor response to recent helicopter crash. Also, still related to this final funeral rites for late Minister for Environment Dr. Murtala Mohammed and Deputy National Security Coordinator Alhaji Muniru currently underway. We'll bring you the latest. Meanwhile, President John Mahama has announced the government's intention to set up an educational fund to take care of the children of the victims of the helicopter crash. Much later on the program, Ghana Football Association GFA holds 31st Congress to decide on extended term limit for FA president. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. Now, the final Muslim funeral rite adua for the late former Minister for Environment Ibrahim Murtala Mohammed and the acting Deputy National Security Coordinator Alhaji Muniru Limuna is currently underway. The pair lost their lives alongside 6 others, including the Defense Minister Dr. Edward Omane-Boama, when a Ghana Armed Forces helicopter went down in the Adansia Akrofom district of the Ashanti region last Wednesday. Even though the government organized the state funeral to honor their memories on Saturday, their respective families are holding separate events this afternoon. Let's take you to Tamale, where the adua for former MP for Tamale Central, Ibrahim Mohammed Murtala, is currently ongoing. My colleague Christopher Mwako joins us live on the line now. Chris, I can imagine the atmosphere in that place, but what can you tell us?
Yes, so Beatrice, the final funeral rites of late Dr. Ibrahim Murtala Mohammed has just been concluded here in Tamale. Dignitaries who came sharing pleasantries and about to leave the place. But before the adua, the family gathered earlier and were waiting for people to come and continue with the Islamic funeral rites of the late Dr. Murtala Mohammed. Thousands of people gathered at the family house earlier today to be part of the observation of the funeral rites. Government delegation led by the NDC National Chairman Johnson Asedu in Ketia, together with other ministers of state and people from the other side of the political divide, were all present at the funeral rites. Traditional authorities were heavily represented, led by the entourage of the King of Dagon, Ndayana Abukari the second. So, Beatrice, for now, I must say that the final funeral rites has ended here in Tamale.
I mean, it's almost a week since this incident happened, or exactly 7 days, you would say. How are people still reacting beyond those who have gathered at this funeral ground?
People are so sad. People are still yet to come to terms with the fact that the former member of parliament for Tamale Central has died. During the reading of tributes, before his demise, he was taking care of 49 medical doctors at the University for Development Studies. They were student doctors at the University for Development Studies, 49 of them. And when they came out there to talk about who he really was, a lot of the people there shed tears because, according to them, their education was about hating and so they were worried that there will be no one to take care of their education. Fortunately for them, the Minister for Education, Haruna Idrisu, stepped in and said that he was going to fund their education for them on behalf of the late Member of Parliament for Tamale Central. The chairman of the NDC, Johnson Asedu Nketia, who led the government delegation, also indicated the need need for the people of the northern region to come together and be united, because the death of Honorable Murtala Muhammad has in a way united them, and so he called on them to further strengthen the unity that exists between them. On the party line, he has asked the party members to hasten slowly, because the national executives are yet to meet and find a date after the final funeral rites of the other persons who lost their lives in the that tragic incident. And so they should rush, they should hasten slowly for the party to come out with the modalities before they can begin their campaigns. He also applauded the New Patriotic Party for declaring that they are not going to contest the Tamale Central Constituency elections.
Quite sad there. Christopher, before you go though, traditionally after the Adua, what happens next?
Okay, so because he belongs to a certain sect of the Muslim denomination, that is the Al-Sunnah sect, they perform the funeral after burial. And so because the burial was done in Accra, that is why they still have to do another funeral rite. If not, immediately after the burial, they perform the final funeral rite, and that ends it. So Islamically, from the sect that he belonged to, once today's Adua is performed, that is all. The only thing is that he had his maternal home, his maternal uncles and others can also pick the funeral to Taboya and also perform it, because his maternally a Gonja and paternally a Dagbong, and so that is how it is. Other than that, this marks the end of the funeral rites of the late MP.
Thank you very much, Christopher Mwako. He's our Northern Region correspondent. Meanwhile, the government will set up an educational fund for the children of the victims of the helicopter crash. That's coming from the president, speaking at a ceremony for a final Adua of a former Deputy National Security Coordinator, Alhaji Limuna, at Adenta in Accra. President Mahama said the families will be catered for, and we'll be bringing you more as regards exactly what the president said. Now, in times of such grief, psychological support is key to ensuring the sanity and healing of the affected victims, and of course, we'll be bringing you more as well. In a related development, more questions are being asked following what many consider as the poor handling of the recent helicopter crash site. Member of the NDC communications team, Hamza Suhini, wants President Mahama to realign the military following failure to at least secure the crash site.
At pains. I have struggled for this, and the pain is yet to leave my chest, to be honest with you. You see, for some time I was thinking that the paucity that has engulfed our state institutions, the military was an exception.
What did they do?
For something of this nature to have happened, on board was the Minister for Defense. And even at the crash sites, for hours after the Ghana military issued a statement about a missing helicopter, and the news eventually came about the discovery of same, it had to take civilians of the Republic of Ghana after an hour or two to be seen actively on the site of the crash trying to salvage the situation. For hours, it took citizens, civilians of this republic, who carried the remains.
But what did they do wrong?
Please.
We're told that you look at the location of the place,
discipline
because
that characterize our military operations.
Because
the system, these are the people who are supposed to defend the republic in case of an emergency, and they could not mobilize to get to the site of the mortal remains of their defense minister in a matter of an hour. They could not secure the perimeters of the crash site for their own investigations. They could not dignify these gallant servants of our republic by even taking charge of their remains and carrying it as our military? What were they engaging? The top rank of the Ghana military. So it is not just.
You're sharing your personal opinion?
Yes, but okay. Roland, this is scary.
But
in
also,
all honesty, Roland, you see, I expect. I expect the government and His Excellency President Mahama, I expect serious repositioning as far as the Ghana military is concerned. Because what they did, what I witnessed, I never thought in my lifetime I would have witnessed that level of inefficiency. It pains me to say this because many of my friends are in there.
And they tell you that they are inefficient?
I saw it, they didn't have to communicate it. This was one of the state institutions I was holding on to with some hope until this happened. What? Were you not shocked?
Yeah,
no red tape to even cover or to protect the scene of the accident. There's a military base in Brahafo region. There's a military base in Kumasi.
Which is
where was our military? The defense minister of the Republic of Ghana? Why? And you, all of us, want to brush this under the radar and pretend as if everything was all right? This is not right. Because you see, it is not just about the death of these people. It also sends a signal internationally about the reputation of the Ghana army. And we should be worried. That conduct has exposed this country badly, Roland.
Yeah.
And you had the member of the NDC communications team, Hamza Sohene. Let's get a quick word from security analyst Emmanuel Coutin. Good afternoon to you, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
I'm sure you heard the question.
Very good afternoon to you.
I'm sure you heard the questions asked by the communications team member of the NDC earlier as I just played it. Could the military have handled things better?
Thank you so much. But Beatrice, when tragedy strikes, we have to be very mindful about sometimes how we become too emotional. Security protocols are completely different from the way we want things to be done in hindsight. If you look at international best practice, even when plane crashes, sometimes it can take days to weeks before they get to the wreckage. I think our challenge is in our country is our crisis response. And if for anything at all, we should be very proud of the citizens who got to the site first. And it was not as if they got there on their own. The incident happened right in front of them. And you know, because some of us don't get this kind of education, and we have never witnessed things like this for a very long time. And you know the Ghanaian perception of help, they had to reach out to help. But they got there and they were overwhelmed, and they couldn't offer any help, so to speak. My challenge with the Ghana Army, and we must all accept that we are a human institution, nobody is perfect. After they didn't get the heli on their radar and started calling the Central Command, and it came to light that the plane had crashed, they started mobilization. Let's be fair to the Ghana Army, Beatrice. Look at where the incident took place. There are no roads to the place, and people had to improvise. If not for these citizens, I tell you that it would have taken days for us to locate this wreckage. As to the contamination of the place, it is something we have to take up as a country and educate ourselves about crisis response. For nothing at all, the regional minister could have gone in league with the Ghana Army so that they can get the assembly member and those other people who were first to get there not to touch anything for investigation purposes. But unfortunately, that communication wasn't there. What the regional minister did, I think it was novel, and that young man should be recommended, was when he reached out by way of amnesty to the people that if you have taken anything from the Christ side, return them.
Nonetheless,
and it yielded positive results. So to me, we can't blame the Ghana Army in all of that. What I have with the Ghana Army now is, what is the state of the investigation? They should be coming to brief the Ghanaian public that, look, this is the state the investigation has gone and is heading. But they are so quiet. And I think that culture within the military ought and must change.
You say that, and you've just answered my next question about the silence, as it were, on updates regarding investigations. But again, you made a point that when the helicopter lost track as regards the radar communication, the Ghana Army started mobilizing. But the mobilization, don't you think perhaps should have led to maybe getting people to areas where possibly there could have been an emergency situation?
The truth of the matter is that the next heli they could have used to get to the site was in Tamale. When the heli took off, they got information they had located the wreckage. So they aborted that and started to mobilize the human capital to get to the crime scene. And look at where the incident happened. It's not as if the military personnel are living in barracks, you can pull them. Let us be very fair, you understand? To mobilize the human capital in this way to get there, it took close to 2 hours. You remember the Atiwa incident. How many days did we take to even locate the wreckage? Is it not 3 or more days? But this was done in record times. Because the thing happened in a place there were farmers around, and because of the advent of technology by way of mobile phones, people started taking videos and circulating same. And that's how we got to know. What the Ashanti regional minister should have done after reaching there was to make sure that nothing was tampered. Nobody was collected. Because from the information I got from the Ghana Armed Forces, the ambulance is the organized, the human capital I'm talking about to get to the crisis. They have body bags and all those other things, you understand? But I think it's because of the zeal and because we have not experienced this kind of things, people felt that, look, let's do what was possible at the time. So these are lessons as a country we have to learn by way of our emergency crisis moving forward.
We'll have to end it here. Thank you very much. Emmanuel Kuting, he is a security analyst. Some 18 minutes past the hour of 12. When we come back, we'll bring you some more. Don't go away.
Hello, Ghana. It's a new year and Bills Microcredit is here to support your dreams. If you're not working but want to start a business, don't let money stop you. With just your Ghana card, you can get a loan to turn your ideas into reality. Already running a business? Need
And you're still here on the Middaynews on Sri FM 92.7. Let's bring you some news coming in now. We understand that the NTA has suspended operations of some radio stations. Kunzo Tiani joins me in the studio with a list of the radio stations that are affected. Kunzo, who do we know?
Right, Beatrice. So we have Wontimi Multimedia Company Limited, 95.9 in Accra. Wontimi Multimedia Company Limited, 101.3 in Kumasi. Wontimi Multimedia Company Limited, 101.3 in Takrady. The other ones are Domplas Multimedia Limited, 105.9 in Ho. Dreams Ghana Media Limited, 104.9. New Ebrim. Jam Multimedia Limited, 101.3 in Kintampo. Jewel Group Limited, 102.7. And then Kwandai Star Community Radio, 107.3 as well. And a Unique Gateway Communication Limited, 105.7. And the reason the NCA is giving is that this action follows the expiring of the 30 days grace period granted by the President of the Republic of Ghana, John Dramani Mahama, His Excellency, for defaulting station to remedy the violation of the law and regulation governing radio stations broadcasting in Ghana. So 6 of these refused and neglected to comply with the regulatory body by taking no actions, and so these 6 radio stations have been suspended for the meantime. And then whereas some of them took steps to remedy breaches during the amnesty period, 3 stations failed to remedy some of the breaches, including unauthorized use of studio to transmitter link and frequency. That's the 3 Wontimi stations in Accra, Kumasi and Takrady. Beatrice.
Thank you very much, Kunzo Tiani, there bringing us that update. And you do remember that there was an earlier statement coming from the Communications Ministry headed by Sam George that indicated that media houses that failed to comply with the regulations would have their licenses suspended. And the president came in later, giving them a 30-day grace period. And so that's just that update for you, and you'll get that list on srinews.com. Now, statesman and elder of the opposition New Patriotic Party, Kwame Pianim, says the confusion that surrounded the party's participation in the Ablekuma North parliamentary election rerun was as a result of the lack of direction and strategic thinking in the MPP now. You would recall that the party earlier issued a statement saying that it would not participate in the poll because the EC was at fault. But the candidate, Ekwe went ahead and participated but lost to the NDC's Rabina Obin. In an exclusive interview with me earlier, Mr. Pianim said the MPP should have been consistent with the law. You talked about you not being happy, or a number of people like you not being happy with the direction of the MPP now and wanting to reorganize it. Would you say that what we saw in Ablekuma North in the run-up to the rerun of that parliamentary poll is because of the leadership direction that you're talking about now? And I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. The leadership saying that we are not interested in running participating in this election because we feel that things have not been done right, and the candidate ignoring that stance of the leadership and going ahead and eventually getting even some of the leaders supporting her.
No, I think that as part of the lack of direction and lack of strategic thinking, what does it mean, the party saying that we are not participating in the election? When you say that, it meant the General Secretary wrote to the Electoral Commission to say we are not participating in this election. What can a candidate say? Would she be independent? Would she be? So there was ambivalence. Go and try. We're in court. We should have been firm and stayed in court for a decision to be made on it. Don't say we are going to have an election and then being ambivalent whether the candidate should go or not. I don't see that the candidate disobeyed the instructions of the party. The Electoral Commission is holding the elections. General Secretary writes, we are not participating. Why do you say that? How does your name get onto the vote to say you are standing? You can't do that.
Did it contribute to her loss?
Sure, but if you are sanctioning the candidate for standing, all the prominent people in the party who supported her financially should also.
And you had the statesman and an elder of the opposition NPP. Students at the Vakpo Senior High School in the Volta region continue to sleep in bedbugs, infested dormitories as the school battles with inadequate accommodation infrastructure. School authorities say the overall state of infrastructure in the school remains a major setback to effective teaching and learning and are appealing to the government to intervene. There's more in the following report by correspondent Faisal Abdul Idrisu.
The second cycle institutions, the Senior High School district, established in the 1960s and was later absorbed by government in 1970. The school currently has more than 2/3 of its 1,500 student population housed on campus, putting a strain on the school's existing accommodation infrastructure.
In the night when we are about to sleep, some of our colleagues have to wait for us to be those sleeping on their bed to sleep before they lay their beds, and some have to even sleep on the pathway which we sleep on. We walk on, and at times some of them even sleep outside on the corridor because the dormitory are already choked. Those sleeping, at times they have to wake up from their sleep because we have to get ways to pack, and we don't find it easy at all.
Any single time a section, we have 600 girls in school, on average 600 girls. So because of that, the space seems not to be enough. So we converted a washroom to the uncompleted building to a space for them to use, which is not convenient for girls actually to use. But that is what we have now. So that is what we are using. The block we stand in front of was an old boys' dormitory. But technical men came to realize that it's not safe for use. So because of that, we moved the boys to join others at the new block. So over there, we converted the chobox room that is attached to the new block into boys' dormitory, which is also there. So it's a difficult situation for us as a school.
The discomfort at night goes beyond inadequate sleeping spaces as congestion and the dormitories has become a breeding ground for bedbugs.
Students are forced to sleep on the floor, and also because of the overcrowding, there are bedbugs all over, and at night you are not able to get enough sleep. And as you can see on the wall, at night we wake up killing bedbugs everywhere, killing them, and there's not enough sleep. So we go to class and sleep during class hours. Whilst we are supposed to be learning, we sleep, and it's not helping.
Because we don't have enough spaces for us to keep our trunks and choboxes, they are kept with us in our dormitories where bedbugs infest in our choboxes and trunks. Also, reptiles like snakes and other animals enter into our dormitories, which really affects us. Spending almost half of the night in killing bedbugs and cockroaches. In class, we spend most of our time in class sleeping.
From inadequate accommodation.
Quite an unfortunate situation at the Vapo Senior High School in the Volta region. Hopefully the situation is resolved. My name is Beatrice Adu. Thank you very much for joining us on the Midday News today on 3FM 92.7. Log on to 3news.com for more news. Coming up shortly is Business Daily. Bismarck Awusa is standing by.
Hello there, good afternoon. Welcome to Business Daily here on 3FM 92.7 with me, Michael Obudu. Coming up, Ghana's pension fund assets hit record 86.23 billion cedis in 2024 as private schemes lead growth on strong compliance and investment. And renowned economist Kwame Pianim urges action beyond a strong cedi as currency hits year-to-date highs, warning policymakers not to rely solely on exchange rate gains.
They've spent probably $2 billion trying to cushion the cedi artificially. What we should do is to use these reserves to change the structure of the economy.
Plus, industry watchers reveal Tullow Oil's $80 million loss highlights oil industry challenges. I am Michael Obudu. Details of these and many other stories coming up shortly. Please stay with us. Thank you so much for your time. Straight into our top story, and Ghana's pension fund industry surged to an all-time high of 86.23 billion cedis in 2024, according to the latest financial sector report. The jump marks 39.5% from 61.8 billion cedis in 2023. The following three Business News Desk report has the details.
The surge is attributed to a combination of factors, including tighter enforcement against defaulting employers, partial settlement of government arrears, and aggressive public education efforts targeting informal sector workers. Private pensions comprising Tier 2 and 3 schemes led the growth, with their assets under management rising by 37.4% to 63.88 billion Ghana cedis, up from 46.50 billion Ghana cedis in 2023. The National Pension Authority credits this to enhance compliance, including prosecutions of employers who fail to remit Tier 2 contributions. The Social Security and National Insurance Trust, which manages the basic National Social Security Scheme, also saw a significant uptick. Net assets under management increased to 22.4 billion Ghana cedis in 2024 from 15.3 billion Ghana cedis in 2023, buoyed by better returns and management debt repayment. Benefit repayments under the basic National Social Security schemes climbed to 6.46 billion Ghana cedis, up from 5.46 billion in the previous year, an increase that underscores rising liabilities and the need for sound risk management in the sector. The report noted that shift in investment strength, with pension funds allocations to government securities declining from 81.49% in 2023 to 72% in 2024. Meanwhile, allocations to collective investment schemes more than doubled from 1.46% to 3.51%, and investment in ordinary non-redeemable preference shares jumped from 2.50% to 5.71%.
And that was a three Business News Desk report. Meanwhile, financial economist Dr. Beatrice Adu has attributed the shift in investment trends of pension funds to the continuous decline in government treasury bill rates. Interest in the 91-day instrument has declined to 10.1% in August from 28.1% in January 2025. We'll bring you that soundbite in our subsequent bulletin. Now, renowned economist and statesman Kwame Pianim says it is wrong for economic policymakers to think that a stable cedi alone is what will strengthen the macroeconomy of a country. He says it is important for policymakers to consider other real factors that determine the strength of an economy. This comes on the back of the recent appreciation of the cedi against the US dollar by some over 40% year to date.
A lot of things are happening in Ghana. Young enterprising women are doing soaps and oils with shea butter. They are doing chocolate, exporting them. A few weeks ago, when you exported $100, they got 1,500. They have 1,500 Ghana cedis. Now they are struggling to get 1,100. That's $400, 400 Ghana cedis lost on $100. The Ghanaians who sustain themselves on remittances from their children and relatives abroad. When they got $1,000, let's say $100, they were getting 1,500 Ghana cedis. Now they are getting less than 400. It's not a matter of a stable currency. It's a matter of relative stability, relative between your inflation and. So they've inherited this bogus economic theory from us in the NPP that they have to move away from. What we need, instead of spending, we spend about over $1 billion trying to cushion up the cedi artificially. They spend probably $2 billion trying to cushion the cedi artificially. What we should do, and we all know it, is to use these reserves to change the structure of the economy.
That was renowned economist and statesman Kwame Pianim speaking there. Now, away from that, Tullow Oil's financial losses reflect the challenges facing the oil industry, according to Executive Director of the Center for Environmental Management and Sustainable Energy, SEMSE, Benjamin Nsia. The company reported a loss after tax of $80 million from continuing operations for the first half of the year, compared with a profit of $106 million last year, driven by lower revenues, impairment charges, and higher costs.
West Africa-focused Tullow Oil on Wednesday lowered its 2025 production forecast to account for the sale of its Gabonese assets as the company continues to streamline its operations to boost performance and reported a first-half loss. Tullow reported a loss after tax of $80 million from continuing operations for the first half of the year, compared with a profit of $106 million last year, driven by lower revenues, impairment charges, and higher costs. Its shares fell 10% in early trading. According to Executive Director of the Center for Environmental Management and Sustainable Energy, SEMSE, Benjamin Nsia, the company's losses in the first half of 2025 are due to declining crude oil output and prices.
So when output declines, and prices decline, it means that revenues will be affected. And that is why their revenues also declined more than 20% compared to the previous year. So when revenue declines, it means that at any higher expenditure that a company will incur, it will affect their profitability. And you also observe that there are certain expenditure items that they also embarked on in the first half of 2025, also affecting their profitability in this case, making them observe or realize losses.
Benjamin Nsia noted that Tullow and other upstream operators must make productive investment by being efficient and discover higher viable wells.
The price of petroleum products is going to be threatened by climate change and other geopolitical interests. So any particular oil company does want to get maximum benefit or optimal benefit from producing oil must begin to look at an output intervention in case that they must produce a lot of these products on the international market. Based on the production levels, I think that they'll be able to make a lot of revenue.
Tullow now expects output of 40,000 to 45,000 barrels of oil equivalent per day for the year, down from 50,000 to 55,000 barrels projected earlier.
And that was a 3 Business News Desk report. Before we leave you, we'll go back to our earlier story where financial economist Dr. Beatrice Adu has attributed a shift in investment trends of pension funds to the continuous decline in government treasury bills rates. Interest in the 91-day instrument has declined to 10.1% in August from 28.1% in January 2025.
So the biggest driver of the shift is return compression on the government securities. Between 2024 coming to this year, you can see generally that the returns on the treasury bill has been generally low. And pension managers would obviously rotate to look for investment that will offer a better risk-adjusted returns. And particularly for the 2024, we had just come from DDEP, and fund managers are worried that in case their funds are concentrated in government securities and something like that happen again, they will be bitten twice. So to reduce the overly dependency on government securities, it makes sense that you have to look for other ways of securing pension funds. At the same time, you can also see that the Ghana Stock Exchange is beginning to do better, and it offers a better alternative for pension funds to look at it. So the yield, even if we look at this year alone, the yield on the GNSC composite indices has gone about 52%.
The financial economist Dr. Beatrice Adu bringing an end to Business Daily here on 3FM 92.7. For more business stories, please visit our website at 3news.com/business. I am Michael Obodu. Thank you for listening. As always, please stay safe.